All right, guys, we're going to rock and roll here shortly. Monday edition of the show. A lot to cover on the Monday. I say oftentimes on the network, Mondays are my favorite because of the stockpile of information I want to relay to you, and/or just the energy that was been stockpiled and sustained and like recreated over the weekend of rest, and just ready to get like back at it and grind. I mean, I love I genuinely love Mondays. Today we're going to talk about Charlottesville and another national ranking. Livability is turning into, these national rankings, best places to live. Livability is the one you want to follow. They're getting the most market share and recognition with these accolades and monikers. Livability has named Charlottesville the 22nd best city to live in America, and they have outlined why. We'll talk about the other cities that are awesome to live in America, the 21 that are ranked ahead of Charlottesville, and then we'll talk about the impact of another best place to live, brand, moniker recognition, and what that's going to do to this community. Today we will also cover on the program what I think could be the best happy hour in Charlottesville. I'll let you know what I think might be from a price point standpoint, strictly price point, the best happy hour in Charlottesville. We'll talk about rents continuing to escalate. 9% year over year rents are escalating. Is Marshall's open yet in 5th Street Station? I'll give you a TV show to watch. And Potter's expanding to Woolen Mills. So much to cover on the show. Judah Wickower and I. Judah, we can rock when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on a glorious Monday. A pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille network, where we have a Charlottesville, Central Virginia, Commonwealth, country, and worldwide audience. We're presented by Skooma Boutique Dispensary, the best dispensary in Charlottesville. Skooma Boutique Dispensary, with locations on the Downtown Mall and on Ellwood Avenue. So today we're going to cover Charlottesville City getting national recognition yet again. Heck, this might be global recognition at this point. With how quickly content and stories on the internet, how quickly they travel and how far they travel and how viral they go. These best places to live in the United States, many would argue the best country in the world is the United States. You would certainly get that argument from me. So here we have a website, livability.com, that specializes in ranking the best places to live in America. And the United States, by most accounts, the best country in the world, certainly by me. So a website that specializes in the best places to live in the best country in the world is going to get some serious momentum and traction behind the website. Charlottesville's 22 on the list. We, Judah Wickower and I, will analyze the pros and cons of being ranked 22 best city to live in America. We'll highlight the 21 cities ahead of Charlottesville. We'll talk about what the cause and effect of a global ranking like this will do to this community. We'll talk about the collateral damage that it could do for this community. So a lot of topics to cover on today's show. Today we will also chatter what I think is the best happy hour. I'm talking strictly price point in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. I will relay that to you. Potter's Craft Cider is expanding to Woolen Mills, production to Woolen Mills. This brand is booming. We'll talk Potter's on today's show. I want to ask you, the viewer and listener, if you know if Marshall's in 5th Street Station is open yet. Does anyone know? Is Marshall's in 5th Street Station open yet? I think Marshall's will have a very positive impact on that South Side shopping center. Genuinely curious, yours truly, is Marshall's open yet? If you could put the answer in the feed, we would love to know that answer. And I'm going to encourage you guys to check out the Netflix documentary called Big Timber. that follows a family in Vancouver who's in the timber and milling and lumber business. It is phenomenal. It's binge-worthy. It's called Big Timber on Netflix. Let's welcome Judah Wickower to the program on a two-shot, the jack of all wits, Judah Wickower. We give props to the Clifton in Keswick as a dining destination, as a happy hour spot, and soon as a Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening live music venue with Marie and Coda of Chamomile and Whiskey kicking off the Clifton series in August. Judah, first, good afternoon. How are you, my friend?
Good afternoon.
Charlottesville, 22 in the United States of America by livability.com. Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
In the top 25 best places to live, specifically ranked at the 22 slot. Your initial take on that, and then I'm going to rattle off the top 21. Your thoughts?
I think you got to look at how they're making these judgments, and it looks like they take a lot of stuff into account. So, Charlottesville's a great place to live.
Teresa Davis just answered our question. Thank you, Teresa Davis of Frontrunner Signs, a dog aficionado and lover, Teresa Davis, and just an all-around amazing human being. Teresa Davis said the lady at Sally Beauty said Marshall's will open in September. Sally Beauty, next door or a couple doors down from Marshall's in 5th Street Station. Thank you, Teresa Davis. So there's your answer. Marshall's opening in September. Thank you, Teresa Davis. So Judah Wickower is right. Let's look at the criteria for this top 25 ranking. Charlottesville, according to the source Livability, and Livability, LIVABILITY.com, is the top player in city rankings in the United States. The Live scores, the criteria determine that determines these rankings. The Live score category criteria are amenities. How many amenities, Judah, are in the area? How good is the economy in the area? The demographics, that's specifically diversity, how diverse the area is. Charlottesville's not very diverse. Social and civic capital, I would say we have a boatload of social and civic capital in Charlottesville. I would say we have a boatload of amenities. I would say our economy is strong. From a diversity standpoint, it's not going to score well. From a housing affordability standpoint, that's one of the criteria. It's not going to score well. Education, it will score well. Healthcare, 2 hospitals in the Charlottesville area. It's going to score well. Transportation and infrastructure, not going to score well on transportation and infrastructure. And remote readiness, that's access to the internet, it's going to score very, very well there. Judah, you jump in after I give this statistic to the viewers and listeners. Listen to this, guys. Sit back and digest what I'm about to relay to you. Since March of 2020, that was the start of COVID, since March of 2020, more than 42% of the U.S. population has either moved or is considering moving immediately. 42%. As home prices hit historical highs and as inflation continues to rise, it is more important than ever that families and individuals create plans for managing cost increases in an affordable living environment. So we know the moving is significant. We know it happened. We saw an influx of Yankees and Northern Virginians moving to the Charlottesville metro area during the pandemic. That is undeniable, undisputable, and undoubtedly accurate. I'm going to rattle off the top 21. Before I do, what is tickling your fancy over there? Because I see your fancy getting tickled.
No, it's just, it's interesting. This is obvious. If you look at the article, this is focused on mid-sized cities. Over 2,000 cities researched, greater than 50 data points. I think it's just important to note that this isn't a comprehensive list of every city in the United States, and some of this since 2020 more than 42% of the U.S. population has either moved or considered moving doesn't really tell us much of anything. It may be.
Well, the only thing it would tell us is if I want that statistic to be this is the population of the U.S. that has moved. The fact that they say 40, what was the number? What was the exact percentage?
42% of the U.S. population has either moved or considered moving.
Yeah, that's a BS stat. The stat should be this percentage of the population moved during COVID.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be
And
considered moving.
and it should
I'd consider moving to Hawaii.
And it should be further broken down into, moved out of the city that they were in or moved out of the state that they were in. Because that also, somebody could have moved from Charlottesville.
Redfields to Keswick.
Yeah. Somebody could move
During
from
the pandemic, our
Charlottesville
family.
to Albemarle County.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't really tell us a whole lot.
Well said. Props to you. I'll give you props on that. That's what I liked about you. That was good. That was value. We got a slight correction. So Kelly Jackson saying August 4th, the grand opening, there's a sign on the door. Teresa Davis did some more reconnaissance and looked at the website. The grand opening of Marshall's now is August 4th. So thank you, Teresa Davis, for giving us that update. Kelly Jackson, thank you for sharing that intel on the I Love Seville Facebook group. So the August 4th opening for Marshall's in 5th Street Station. And I think Marshall's is going to have a significantly more positive impact on 5th Street Station than AC Moore. And I'm not knocking AC Moore, but Marshall's, the treasure hunting experience of finding a deal in Marshall's attracts a boatload of people, in particular moms that control the household budget. So I think you're going to see a hell of a lot more disposable income and spending money around 5th Street Station with Marshall's that you can make a legitimate argument could have the second most traffic to 5th Street Station. Wegmans is a clear-cut number one. When Marshall's open, do you think Marshall's is a clear-cut two from a traffic driver at 5th Street Station? I mean, Kelly Jackson's Panera Bread is in the top 5. That location pops because it's got the drive-through. I mean, what is the second biggest driver? Is it the movie theater of people to 5th Street Station? Is it the ABC store? I mean, that ABC store prints money, people. People like booze in this town. It's not the mattress store, that's for damn sure. And have you noticed 5th Street Station has a boatload of haircut places, salons? Have you noticed that? Kelly, what do you think? Bob Yarborough, that's a question for you as well. What is the second best traffic driver of consumers to 5th Street Station? Is it going to be Marshall's, KJ? What do you think, Bob Yarborough? It was great to see you on Sunday as well. All right, let's get back to the ranking. Let's talk what are the pros and cons of being recognized by a world publication. Livability is going global, right? If you're ranking the best places to live in America, you're ranking the best places to live in the best country in the world, right? I say America is the best country in the world. You love to debate me. Are you going to say America is not the best country in the world? Is that what you're saying, Judah? Are you saying that right now? The answer to that is America is the best country in the world. How are you even thinking about this, my friend?
America.
Bud Heavies, American flags, fireworks, fast cars, red meat and baked potatoes loaded. America. You're not saying it's the best country in the world?
I live here. Of course it's the best country in
Okay,
the world.
are you saying that with confidence and conviction and being genuine? Is it the best country in the world?
No, not really.
You don't think America's the best country in the world?
I think it was at one time. I don't know that. I think I'd have to take a long, hard look and
What would you say is number one, dude?
I don't know if I.
Dude, Judah has some cojones. On a talk show that's on the internet forever with a hell of a lot of followers and viewers, he's going to straight up say that America is no longer the best country in the world. That's when you know that Judah Wickower is unafraid and unabashed with his commentary. You're saying it's not number one.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I would need. I think I would want to see a little more information. I think it's got its fair share of wonderful aspects, and it's got its fair share of BS.
Well, that's everywhere.
Yeah. I would like to take a long, hard look at other countries' assets and BS.
Okay, all right. Judah does not think America's number one. Kelly Jackson says Alamo Draft Tap House is the second largest driver of traffic to Fifth Street Station. That very well could be. I was at Alamo on Sunday. And hint, hint, the best happy hour in the Charlottesville, Virginia area is, and I'm talking strictly price point here, strictly price point, is the bar at Alamo Draft House. Monday through Friday from 4 to 7 p.m., draft beer is $3. Wine is $4 a glass, and appetizers are $5. That's also on Sundays, all day Sunday on Industry Day.
Wow.
So Monday through Friday from 4 to 7 p.m., you can get $3 drafts. Their draft list is as good as any in town. $4 wines and $5 appetizers, and all day Sunday, those specials are in play as well for Industry Day. I saw the king of Redfields, Bob Yarborough, there with his gorgeous family. I'll tell you what, if Bob Yarborough, one thing Bob Yarborough knows craft beer like the Pope knows holy water. Would you say that's the case, king of Redfields? Yarborough knows craft beer like the Pope knows holy water, and if he's there with his beautiful family for happy hour, you know it's a good deal, because Yarborough is in the know. All right, let's go back to the list. And Yarborough makes this point. This is a really good point from Yarborough. Charlottesville is the smallest of the top 25 from a population standpoint.
I'm not surprised.
Charlottesville's the small. I mean, we're under 50,000 people. Charlottesville City is not very large. It's under 50,000 people. I'm going to rank the top 25. When I say a city or a jurisdiction you want to talk about, interrupt me. Okay, number one, best place to live in America, Madison, Wisconsin. It's got a livability score of 725 and a population of 258,366 people. Madison, Wisconsin. Chilly up in Madison. Number two, Ann Arbor, Michigan. A population of 121,000. Also chilly there. Interestingly, number one and number two are cities that are homes to big universities. Madison, Wisconsin, Wisconsin Badgers, University of Wisconsin. Ann Arbor, Michigan, Michigan Wolverines, the University of Michigan, Big Blue. Three, Rochester, is that Minnesota?
No, Minnesota's MN.
Rochester.
Michigan.
Oh yeah, sorry, no, it's not Michigan.
Let me see.
Look at two guys not knowing what the MN abbreviation for the United States of America is. Somewhere someone's like, you guys are a bunch of idiots. I said Minnesota. I got it right. I was right all along. You said Michigan. I said Minnesota. I was right all along.
I heard you say MI.
No. So
Okay.
Rochester, Minnesota.
Well,
you try to confuse me.
My bad. I heard MI.
You try to confuse me, dog. Rochester, Minnesota is in the 3 slot. Population
Did I not say
117,000.
MN is Minnesota?
MN, the state abbreviation is Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Rochester, Minnesota. Okay. All right, we'll move on. Okay. We're good?
Yeah. Okay.
Everything's okay?
I'm fine.
I'm fine. You fine? You okay? I'm cool. You cool? He's cool. 4 is Naperville, Illinois, population of 147,000. 5 is Overland Park, Kansas. 6, Minneapolis, Minnesota. 7, Fishers, Indiana. This is what strikes me of the top 7. Number 1 is Madison, Wisconsin. 2, Ann Arbor, Michigan. 3, Rochester, Minnesota. 4, Naperville, Illinois. 5, Overland Park, Kansas. 6, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Got family
and
there.
7 is Fishers, in Indiana. It's all kind of in that same vicinity.
North?
North Midwest. Right?
Yeah.
The top 7 is all North Midwest. I have no idea why that's the case. I would imagine it's associated with housing affordability. Anyone have a take why it's North Midwest, the top 7? 8, Salt Lake City, Utah. 9, Pittsburgh, PA. 10, Carmel. Carmel I've been to.
Carmel, Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana. 11, Fort Collins. 12, do you know how to say 12? The city in Wisconsin?
Waukesha?
Thank you. 13, Franklin, Tennessee. I've been to. Franklin is legit. It's fun. 14, Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh is getting super young. 15, Olympia, Washington. 16 Colorado Springs, Colorado, 17 Frederick, Maryland. The president and CEO of the current Charlottesville Chamber of Commerce, friend of the program, Elizabeth Cromwell, was formerly of Frederick, Maryland, and she speaks very highly of Frederick, Maryland. 18 McKinney, Texas, 19 Asheville, North Carolina. If I moved from Charlottesville, I'd move to Asheville. If I moved from Charlottesville, I'd move to Asheville. 100%. All day, every day. 20 Omaha, Nebraska, and 21 is Roseville, California, with 22 Charlottesville. So strikingly, and Bob Yarborough accurately pointed this out, the closest city in population, the closest one to Charlottesville's population in the top 22, Charlottesville's ranked 22, remember. The closest one in population, Judah, is that Asheville?
I think Olympia.
No, is it Frederick, Maryland? Frederick, Maryland's at 74,000. It's Olympia. Olympia, Washington, with 52,000. Everyone else is considerably larger than Charlottesville. Everyone else. So this is what I ask myself if I'm reading this and I'm looking for a place to live. I'm asking myself these questions from a quality of life standpoint. How's the food scene? Charlottesville, it's bang up, baller, awesome. How's the sports scene? Charlottesville, awesome. What's the outdoor life like? Charlottesville, awesome. Is it overcrowded? Is it overcrowded? And you look at the top 22, and Charlottesville is the least densely populated of all. So folks that are assessing where they want to move will utilize lists like this. And I can assure you, when contemplating where to go, one of the KPIs, key performance indicators, is density, population, people, traffic, quality of life.
Do we know it's the least densely populated?
I mean, isn't that what population measures?
No, population just measures the number of people.
Touche, because you're saying the jurisdiction could have sprawl and be large.
Yeah.
Where Charlottesville's 10.2 square miles.
Right.
Is the average consumer sophisticated enough to think like that?
No.
Because that was sophisticated thinking.
Yeah,
I think the average consumer just reads population.
Yeah, I think
and they
so
may
too.
not think density. That's a great point by you.
Yeah.
Do you agree that the average consumer's probably not thinking that way?
Yeah, most people probably wouldn't understand that, or that's not true. I don't think people wouldn't understand
They
it.
just wouldn't make that leap.
Yeah, I think people wouldn't realize the size of a place greatly impacts what it means to have a certain population.
Lauren says on one of the Facebook pages that she believes the emergency place for medicine, the Doc in the Box, is the second driver of traffic to Fifth Street Station. That Doc in the Box is very crowded. It's a Centera walk-in doctor's office, but I don't think it's in the 2 slot. I think the 2 slot is probably either going to be a Marshall's or a Draft Tap House or a Alamo in the 2 slot for the second best traffic drivers to Fifth Street Station. Comments. Kevin Higgins, we'll get to you. We have a lot of comments coming in about this. I want you to talk about the collateral damage that comes from being ranked on lists like this. We should talk about it because there's tangible and palpable collateral damage.
Yeah, well, we're dealing with it now.
We're literally dealing it with right now.
Yeah.
Lists like this will not make Charlottesville more affordable. Lists like this will drive up the cost of living. Lists like this will take the old guard Charlottesville natives, old school Charlottesville, and gentrify them out of the community for carpetbaggers, for Yankees, folks able to work remotely, and people with deep pockets and disposable income. Those are facts. Before we get to that, I want to get to some comments. Tell me collateral damage. Okay, before we get to that. Scott Aaronworth is watching in Virginia Beach. He says Public Fish and Oyster is the best happy hour, hands down. That happy hour is damn good, Scott Aaronworth. Travis Hackworth is watching in Danville. He has this about Raleigh, North Carolina. One can only imagine that the co-op project between the state of Virginia and North Carolina to create additional high-speed rail system along I-95 corridor from Richmond to Raleigh will have an impact. I wonder how that will affect Charlottesville in the long term. Will it push people towards Seaville and further drive up housing prices. Great comment, Travis Hackworth. Kevin Higgins in Greenwood. Madison, Wisconsin is home to Epic Healthcare, the largest healthcare system company in the world. The founder is the wealthiest female CEO in the world. Don't think for a second that does not impact this survey. And yes, UVA Health uses Epic for their electronic medical record and billing systems. And the American Girl doll founder shared a duplex with the Epic founder in the 1970s. Wow. I did not know that. Kevin Higgins. Very nicely done, the King of Greenwood. It's important to emphasize the healthcare in these rankings. My parents, for example, moved from Williamsburg, Virginia, to the Asheville, Hendersonville, North Carolina area. My dad is not in great health. One of the reasons they chose the Asheville, Hendersonville, North Carolina area was because of the quality care in their hospital systems, the accessibility to quality care, hospitals, and top-notch medical providers. We should not underestimate that. Judah, collateral damage of lists and rankings like this for Charlottesville. You're on the spotlight, my friend.
I think you mentioned most of it. The influx of people that we've had from, certainly Northern Virginia and the D.C. area has been a strain on our housing, and lists like this will continue to strain our limited housing availability, especially with more and more people buying up properties to rent out as either rentals or Airbnbs.
Well said.
Essentially taking them off the market, and especially with Airbnbs.
Kevin Yancey says, wasn't Charlottesville #1 place to retire? It was actually #2. But great comment, Kevin Yancey. According to Realtor Magazine, the Charlottesville metro area was ranked the second most popular area to retire in the country. The Waynesboro area was #3. Somewhere in Florida, off the top of my head, I think the Orlando metro area, I believe, was in the #1 slot. So Judah's right. You got this era where someone can work from anywhere. Anywhere. And that work from anywhere mentality is just going to get more momentum and tailwinds behind it. Folks are going to read lists like this. They're going to take weekend or week-long excursions to test the market, vacation and get a feel for it. And they're going to see, now we see why Charlottesville's ranked consistently in all these lists. The homeowner in Charlottesville loves these rankings, for the most part. The homeowner also realizes rankings like this creates gentrification and perhaps more density or a population increase. You know who hates lists like this? Someone who does not own a house, someone who is working in F&B or a frontline or retail job, someone on the financial margin, someone that wants to call this place their home, but they're a young millennial or a Gen Zer that's still trying to figure it out. They should hate lists like this.
Yeah.
These lists have obvious gentrificational impacts, sociological impacts, and anthropological impacts on the city. Undoubtedly, they do. Michelle Scheid watching the program. Michelle, we love when you watch the show. Let's go to some of the comments from Michelle. She says Northern Virginians are Yankees instead of laugh out loud right there. A lot of OG Charlottesville certainly feels that way. Michelle, let's see. She says Lazy Parrot used to be the best deal in Charlottesville, best happy hour in Charlottesville. Lazy Parrot's happy hour is still on point. I'm just shocked to see $3 drafts at the bar at the movie theater in Fifth Street Station. And their draft selection is very bona fide. Very bona fide. Like, for instance, on their menu, they have the IPA called Lunch from Maine Brewing Company. This is a 7% beer. It's a phenomenal beer, and you can get it for $3. 6 days a week.
Did you say Maine?
Yeah, Maine Brewing Company. Have you had that IPA at lunch?
I don't think I've had anything from Maine Brewing Company.
Holy-
but I
holy-
was surprised to find out that that Portland, Maine is I believe it's the craft brewing center of the world.
Well, see if you can get the exact. The statistic may be there's more craft breweries in Portland, Maine, per capita than any other city in America. That's probably the statistic you're looking for, per capita. Portland, Maine. Now, I will say this: you do got me thinking about something else. There's a brewery in Williamsburg, Virginia. That's where I grew up, called Brass Cannon Brewing, and this brewery has been in operation for a decade plus. Literally more than 10 years, and Brass Cannon Brewing just announced over the weekend that it's closing and going out of business. And Brass Cannon Brewery in Williamsburg, I'm reading literally, says inflation and oversaturation of craft beer and the rising interest rates are why we are closing. So they have floating debt, like so many small businesses here have floating debt. When the rates went up, their monthly payment went up, and there's more competition in craft beer than ever before. I mean, take the Charlottesville area. There's a guy that's doing GoFundMe, and I have nothing but respect and hope that he is successful for his GoFundMe. It's called Neon Culture Brewing Company, a new brewery looking to open in Charlottesville. I mean, I love beer as much as anyone watching the program. Beer is a hobby for me. It's a passion. Craft beer is a hobby and a passion for me. But anyone watching or listening to this show must realize that we are beyond a saturation point for craft breweries in this area. I mean, we are beyond a saturation point. In the last year, I mean, look, Rockfish just opened another location on the downtown mall. You got Neon Culture Brewing Company working in team with Decipher Brewing Company. Decipher's phenomenal. I love their beer. I love their venue. But if we're not careful, craft beer in Charlottesville is going to go the way of local restaurants in Charlottesville where there's so many of them that there's not enough slices of the pie to go around for everybody. And Michelle Scheid made the comment on the I Love Seville Facebook group, that's like Richmond. It's ridiculous in Richmond. Have you been to Scott's Addition in Richmond? I love Scott's Addition because I'm a beer head. But you look around in Scott's Addition and you got to ask yourself, how can this little neighborhood support all these breweries? What were you were looking for something over there. Did you find that data? Was it Portland? Did you give me the data points with the beer? It's per capita, isn't it?
I think I'm finding a lot of different things, so I'm not going to go too deeply into it. It just seems like a bunch of different people have a bunch of different metrics for how they make the decision.
Oh, man.
But Maine at number 3 of whatever this thing I'm reading is has 9.6 breweries for every 100,000 adults aged 21 or older.
9.6? That's a lot.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Give a couple other things I want to get out of the notebook here. This came up. Wow. I'm getting some DM messages here on a topic that I want to cover.
Here we go. Forbes has written that Portland, Maine is truly America's craft beer capital, if you're basing it solely on breweries per capita.
That's a good stat. Wow, I just got a direct message here from a viewer and listener that is extremely well connected about the Albemarle County deal with JCPenney. I think we should talk about that. And this will be on the fly. This was not part of the conversation. I got a DM from someone I got to respect this person's anonymity. How do I describe this person? This person, I can say this without blowing up the person's spot. All right, I'm not going to say this. This person may or may not work for Albemarle County. All right, let's talk about this topic then. Literally just got a DM on the fly during the show. So Albemarle County is leasing the old JCPenney space. Albemarle County is paying $3.1 million to renovate it, the JCPenney space, and $560,000 in rent in the first year. It's a 10-year term, the lease. The space is going to be a home for a public safety operations center, and it's going to be used for parking, county vehicles, storage, repair, maintenance, and evidence collection. $3.1 million up front, $560,000 in rent in the first year, 10-year lease, so you would expect that yearly payment of $560,000 to escalate. I asked the question over the weekend, should the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors consider repurposing Fashion Square Mall and other capacities besides JCPenney? And then I asked this question, can an empty afterthought further alleviate Albemarle County's burdens meeting the mall? And lastly, I emphasize this. Remember, Albemarle County is leasing the space, the JCPenney space, which keeps the property on the tax rolls, as opposed to buying the space, which would have removed the property from the tax rolls. So I put that question on the I Love CVille network over the weekend, and the response to that question was dramatic, viral, and noticeable, to the point where we now have DMs from folks that may or may not be employees of Albemarle County listening and watching the show as we speak. One of the responses that jumped out at me, and I shared it with Judah Wickower, was the response from John Blair. John, are you watching today's show, John Blair? Could you give us a like or poke your head in on LinkedIn if you're watching? John Blair, I'm going to give a little background. Oh, John Blair, just like the show. John Blair is watching. John, you're watching now? John, I'm going to give you a little background on JB. John Blair is A-plus people. He's a phenomenal human being. He's the former city attorney of the city of Charlottesville. He stepped up during the city manager fiasco and took the interim city manager job. Now he's the city attorney for the city of Stanton. John Blair is incredibly intelligent. He's very honest. He's very well liked. He's very skilled. He's very well read. He's got a phenomenal wife, phenomenal son, asset to the community. The fact that John Blair is not working at Charlottesville City Hall anymore is the loss to Charlottesville. Undoubtedly, John's stress level is better at the city of Stanton than when he was working at City Hall in Charlottesville. John Blair answered my question over the weekend of Albemarle County, JCPenney, and this new public, what's it called, exact term? Public safety, what the hell is this thing called? A public safety operations center. Basically, it's going to be a home to store cars, repair vehicles, maintain vehicles, do some evidence collection. It's going to be used for governmental purposes. John Blair sends me a thread of tweets on Twitter that literally had me thinking. And he says, what is the county strategy here? Is it A, space needs? We're struggling with space? If that's the reasoning, then this could make sense. But if the county doesn't intend to do anything else with the property, the JCPenney space, then you've essentially written the death nail for that parcel in terms of the private sector. The owner of this property, for those who are asking, because I just got the direct message from someone who I'm not going to say, is Richard Hewitt. Hewitt bought the property at auction. I was there for that. Remember? On the city courthouse steps. Mm-hmm. He bought the property at auction. So John Blair asked this question on Twitter, and it's a fair question. He asked this question: how is utilizing JCPenney, which is in Fashion Square Mall, which is literally one of the premium and first things you see when you're in Albemarle County, coming into the city of Charlottesville, how does taking a retail store and converting it to essentially to a storage for Albemarle infrastructure, how is that in line with the comprehensive plan, the small area plan, the architecture review board, any kind of government documentation or government paperwork or government planning or any kind of vision plan for that corridor is not government storage facility? So when John Blair left these tweets on my account on the I Love CVille network, it got me thinking. And then John Blair, because he's so popular and well-liked, had other people responding to his tweets. And there was one guy, this guy on Twitter called Todd R., and his handle is @TCR8110. He responded to John Blair, who responded to me, and Todd said this: can you imagine a large regional excavator or contractor saying, hey, let's put your vehicle yard at Fashion Square? Let the corridor ARB have fun with that? And Todd says governments should try to align their land uses with reasonable private land uses. And geez Louise, when I read that tweet, my freaking head exploded. Because a government can't go to a end cap at a mall, which is what JCPenney is, and use it for vehicle storage, maintenance, and repair. Private sector couldn't effing do that. If someone went to Fashion Square Mall and said, I'm going to convert the JCPenney into a used car lot, or to a mechanic's headquarters, or to a storage facility for their contracting fleet, Albemarle County wouldn't go for that. Local government wouldn't go for that. They'd red tape that in a heartbeat. But government's doing it.
How would the owners of the mall feel about it?
Richard Hewitt owns it. He bought the property on at auction at the courthouse steps. You know what he cares about?
He cares about making his rent.
And who's going to make it rent more guaranteed than Albemarle County?
I can't think of many people at this point who are going to.
Maybe the University of Virginia.
Who are going to take up that spot in the mall? Have we heard the death knell of the American mall?
Well, John Blair's point is Albemarle County does this.
Yeah.
In this mall, it crashes the rest of the mall. Because who's going to want to go shopping at a vehicle storage yard?
Is it going to be that bad?
I mean, they're using it to store their damn cars. This is the DL comment that comes in. Richard Hewitt does not own the Sears. He owns the JCPenney. Everyone asked, why did Albemarle County not put their storage and maintenance facility at the Sears? Because the Sears already had auto bays and garage infrastructure in play. You go to Sears, you can get your flat tire fixed, oil change, and whatnot. You can't at JCPenney. You cannot. So everyone asked, why did they do it at JCPenney and not Sears when they already had the garage infrastructure in place? And this DL person, because Richard Hewitt owns the Sears and not the JCPenney. Richard Hewitt does not own the Sears. He owns the JCPenney. He bought the JCPenney at auction at a price that makes this deal with Albemarle County at $560,000 in rent in year one, an absolute home run. And remember, Albemarle County is also renovating the building up front to the tune of $3.1 million, which Hewitt's going to enjoy the renovation advantages after the term is up.
Except that, what's he going to use it for?
What do you mean? I don't follow.
I mean, if they renovate it and it turns out that they end up leaving, I mean, he would have to renovate it back to something comparable to a JCPenney if he wanted to rent it out to a retail spot.
Bingo. Great take. Because they're going to renovate this into a public safety operations center, and as Kevin Yancey has just called it, an impound lot. It's basically going to be an impound lot. The market for a public safety operations center and an impound lot sucks. The market for a JCPenney layout or footprint probably sucks as well. Which one sucks the most? An impound lot in a public safety operations center, or how many square feet is that building?
Do we really think they're going to tear it down and make an impound lot? There's quite a lot of parking around the mall.
Well, that's the point, Judah.
Yeah, I know. Could they not fence off part of that?
Would that make it more hideous? A fence around the parking lot in the mall?
I mean, nobody's driving into the mall at JCPenney, are they?
I couldn't tell you the last time I've been to that mall. When's the last time you've been to that mall?
I haven't been in there in probably years, but I drive around the JCPenney when I'm coming back from up 29. Take a left into there, cut around JCPenney, then I'm on Hillsdale, and Hillsdale to Rio, and take that back to my place. But I don't care. I mean, right now it looks like a closed JCPenney.
I mean, I care.
And there are a lot of empty
people coming down 29 North to Charlottesville and Albemarle County for the first time. You're driving into town from Northern Virginia. You're driving down the Eastern Seaboard. You're coming into town for the first time. You're going to see this fashion scare mall, and you're going to see an impound lot.
No,
there is nothing in this. There is nothing in the area corridor plan, and the comprehensive plan, and the small area plan, the 29 North plan, whatever the hell that plan is for that area, that says impound lot at the mall.
You're way over exaggerating it.
Judah, they're saying literally the new building at JCPenney will be utilized for storage of county vehicles and maintenance and repair of county vehicles.
Okay, and maybe you didn't understand what I was saying. I'm saying that's not going to be what people see. Somebody driving down 29 is not, first of all, there's that hill that goes up to the parking lot of the mall. People driving by are
if
going...
If anyone goes into the mall, they're going to see this, Judah. You go in any vicinity of the mall, you will see this.
That's not what you said. You said people driving into the city are going to see this.
Anyone who goes to the mall will see a public safety operations center.
Who is going to the mall, Jerry?
Who is going to want to open a business next to an impound lot?
Who
wants to sell luxury brands next to an impound lot? Who wants to have a food and beverage business next to an impound lot? Who wants to get soccer moms coming to a business adjacent to an impound lot?
I would think that would be a worry for the person renting out those spaces.
An impound lot is not good for the future of the mall.
How do you know that impound lot isn't going to be on the curved back end of JCPenney?
All right, I'll try this as a different approach. The flagship tenant of Fashion Square Mall is Albemarle County's public safety impound lot.
Are you saying this is a bad idea now?
Well, John Blair has really opened up my mind, and so did this Todd guy. And I think it's BS that a government is given opportunities doing an impound lot at a mall that the private sector does not. And John Blair and this Todd guy on Twitter are exactly right. If someone in the private sector had said, I want to put an impound lot and a mechanic shop at an end cap in Fashion Square Mall, the private sector would have been shot down by local government.
I think you're putting the cart before the horse.
How so?
Who is renting space in the mall right now?
There's still renters in the mall.
Okay, who's going to rent Sears? Who's going to rent JCPenney? Is Belk still there? Is anyone still going to Belk? My point being, who's renting space in the mall? I feel like you're worried about some non-existent businesses.
The end caps in a mall, and I got a 150 here. So we're going to be mindful of time. The end cap.
You keep saying that like it matters. If
JCPenney,
nobody's renting space
caps
in the mall, who gives a flying you-know-what about an end cap?
The end cap is supposed to drive traffic to the rest of the mall.
Has
the
it?
end cap that is now JCPenney is going to be a public safety operations center. We know that no consumer traffic is going to come visit a public safety operations center. So there will be no trickle over traffic from the public safety operations center to the other aspects of the mall, the other stores in the mall.
That's a great point.
Right? This is undoubtedly, and now that they've opened up my mind that local government is using market advantages, they do the approvals, that the private sector does not get the same advantages. No private mechanic or private impound lot or private storage vehicle business would have been able to rent JCPenney and run that business out of there. No government, Albemarle County would not have let them do that. Albemarle County would not have let them do that. It's bogus. It's bogus that the government can do it, but a private business can't. I have beef with that. You don't have beef with that?
I hear a lot of screeching about what seems like very little issue to me.
So you're completely cool that the government is saying I can do something, but you in the private sector cannot?
You're making such a big deal out of that, but from my point of view, there is very little going on at the mall, and to have the county find a use for it and save the county money so that they don't have to build a facility is, I think, more of a plus than the negative of you saying, "Oh no, NCAP."
I mean, we'll agree to disagree on that one. I mean, we'll agree to disagree on that one. I have a problem with the county after being enlightened by John and Todd on Twitter.
All right.
I've changed my tune. I've changed my tune. Initially, I was like, they kept the property on the tax rolls because they didn't buy it. They're renting it. Mm-hmm. So the owner's still paying taxes to the county. And the 10-year term I had no beef with because it gave them flexibility when 10 years were up, should they choose to leave. But after being enlightened by John Blair and this Todd guy on Twitter, I realized that local government putting a business, essentially an operation like this, in an area that the private sector never could, is a catch-22.
But really, it's a case of who the owner wants to rent it to, right? I mean, that's ultimately all that matters.
Me as an owner, I can't rent this storefront in historic downtown Charlottesville. I can't rent this to any business I want. Do you think the city of Charlottesville would allow me to put a gentleman's club right here? Do you think I could put an after-hours night spot here? Do you think I could put a strip club here? Do you think the city of Charlottesville...
You're not even asking serious questions now.
Okay. Would the city of Charlottesville allow me to put... I don't even know what would be a good example here. The city of Charlottesville would restrict what I put in this storefront. You know the rigmarole I had to go through just to put a freaking awning on the front of the building? Just to put an awning. The approval process needed? Something to get you thinking. For those that are asking, Richard Hewitt, the JCPenney owner. Hewitt's got a phenomenal lease. $560,000 in year one with Albemarle County. Albemarle County is not going to default on that lease. What'd you learn today, J-Dubs?
Let's see. I learned that my mom's hometown is also up there on the list of best places to live.
Your mom's hometown? Which one is that?
Minnesota.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
Which one?
Let's see. They are... Oh, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Is where your mom's from.
Yeah.
All right. What else did you learn today?
Number 6. Let's see. Potter's Craft Cider is going to be moving to the Woolen Mills district.
That's big time.
Yeah.
Props to Potter's. A $900,000 investment, new jobs created, Potter's business boomed during the pandemic.
And
The people that tried things during the pandemic and actually like said, I'm going to adapt and figure this out, they gained market share. Potter's a good example.
30% sales increase.
Kevin Higgins gives us some props on the show. And the good thing about the show is Judah and I, and we have to wrap up here. We're going to wrap up in less than 4 minutes. Judah and I look at things so differently, like from completely different ends of the spectrum. And Judah has become more talented as a broadcaster the more he's been on air. And I enjoy the back and forth between he and I. Kevin Higgins loves the show. He's the king of Greenwood. He says, the exchange with you two is great. You are representing pretty much everyone's thoughts. Do more of this. By the way, I totally agree with Jerry on this one. I think the county renting there cheapens the rest of the mall. For me, it would be like shopping where I pay my local tax bill. That's how I feel. J.C. Penney is a different parcel, Travis and Danville. So some of these parcels, some of these end caps are owned by individual people, even though they're attached to the mall. And Richard Hewitt is one of them. In fact, I think I have an I Love Seaville. Yeah, dude. So I'm going to go, if you go to my personal Facebook page, you'll see a $20.2 million auction at the Albemarle County Courthouse steps with Richard Hewitt. This was an additional piece of property that he was trying to purchase in Fashion Square Mall. I'm leaving the comment on my personal Facebook page in the comment section, facebook.com/Jerry Miller Now. I just put it in there. You can watch an auction. This was the auction he chose not to win. He already owns a piece of the mall. Here's another piece he was considered buying at $20.2 million where he did not. All right, that's today's show. Today's show was dynamite. Today's show was dynamite. I love connecting with you guys through this platform, and we work really hard at this show each day because we understand the reach and influence we have in this community. We are reaching more people than the TV news. We understand that. Follow our Instagram account. It's got the third largest following behind the University of Virginia and the city of Charlottesville. I Love Seaville on Instagram. This show airs on every social media platform known to mankind. The Monday edition of the show. Hasta luego. So long. Sayonara. Peace out. Take it easy. Be easy. I'm Jerry.